Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Pulpit. For the next 8 or 9 weeks, I've decided to pick on the teachings for the Beatitudes. You know, the Sermon on the Mount is one of the most profound and foundational teachings of Jesus. It's recorded in the Gospel of Matthew in chapters 5 through 7. It takes place on a mountainside near Capernaum in Galilee. In this sermon, Jesus outlines what it means to live as a citizen of the kingdom of God. And he gives practical and spiritual guidance for those who want to follow him. And Jesus taught the Beatitudes during this famous sermon. This teaching is recorded in the Gospel of Matthew and specifically in chapters 5, verses 1 through 12. They provide a vision for living, not just a set of rules, but a portrait of a person who embodies God's kingdom here on earth. The Beatitudes reveal that God's favor is not reserved for the powerful or the self-sufficient, but for those who are dependent on Him. Seek His will and live with love and mercy for others. Ultimately, the Beatitudes point a picture of a heart that is surrendered to God's will, one that seeks His righteousness above all. It is merciful to others and endures hardship with a deep trust in His promises. The teachings, poor in spirit, the doorway to the kingdom. God said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Matthew 5:3. Jesus began this Sermon on the Mount with a paradox that would have startled his listeners. Blessed are the poor in spirit. To the world of poverty of any kind is often associated with weakness, lack of, or failure. But here Jesus declares it the first step to blessing and entry into the kingdom of heaven. So what does it mean to be poor in spirit? It's not about financial poverty, although materially poor often experience this naturally. To be poor in spirit means to recognize our spiritual need. Our emptiness and dependence on God. It's a posture of humility. It says, God, I need you. I can't do this on my own. In contrast to being self-reliant, self-righteous, or spiritually proud, the poor in spirit acknowledge their need for grace. They know they are spiritually bankrupt without God. Imagine standing before a holy God, our holy God. The poor in spirit are not pretending or performing. They're not saying, look how good I've been. They're not saying, Lord, have mercy on me, I need you. That's what they're saying. They're saying, Lord, have mercy on me, I need you. The kind of honesty is the beginning of transformation. Jesus says the kingdom of heaven belongs to such people. Why? Because only those who admit their need can truly receive. The proud are too full of themselves to make room for God. The poor in spirit are open, and they're the ones God can feel. Isaiah 66 verse 2 says this, "This is the one to whom I look. He is humble, he who is humble and contrite in spirit and trembles at my word. God is drawn to the lowly." Jesus modeled this everywhere he went. Though he was God, Jesus humbled himself. He lived in a complete dependence on the Father. He taught us not to grasp for power or recognition, but to come like little children, dependent and trusting. The Word says, be strong. Jesus says, be dependent. The Beatitude flips worldly thinking. Culture says, believe in yourself. Be independent. Be proud. But Jesus says, you are blessed when you know your need for God. It's not weakness. It's the gateway to grace. Well, how do we live like this? Well, we start each day acknowledging our need for God. Pray before you plan. When tempted to rely on your performance or compare yourself to others, pause and return to grace. Invite God into your weakness. That's where His strength shines, as we found out in 2 Corinthians 12:9. In conclusion, the first beatitude is not just beginning of the list. It's a foundation for all the rest. Unless we are poor in spirit, we won't mourn our sin, hunger for righteousness, or extend mercy. But once we know our need, we open the door to a kingdom not built by pride, but by grace. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Not someday, not after you're perfect, but now. Let that be your starting point today. We hope you enjoyed this teaching on the Beatitudes, the very first one. There'll be more to follow. And as always, here at Bloomingdale Baptist Church, we love you and look forward to you attending our services. Have yourself a great week.